YouTube! Once again, it is Fun Game Friday. We're the first Friday of every month live on Twitch. I play a brand new game that I have never ever played before with chat and then upload it at the end of the month for my YouTube frogs to see. Again, streamed live on Twitch at the first of every month. So if you want to be the first to see it, or you want to get ahead of the game, or you want to see it totally unedited, make sure you stop by stream at twitch.tv/Bobagun. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. I look crazy different. Yes, I got a new VTuber model thanks to the amazing Suika. I will link her down below. Anybody can buy the VTuber model and it's fully customizable. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And if you want to ask more questions or see it in action live on stream, you can at twitch.tv/Bobagun. Anyways, this game is called Boo Done It. Look at me, I'm a little ghost. Look at me, I'm so cute. I'm so cute. Anyways, so the background of this story is basically you, as the main character, got murdered. You got murdered. So now you're in the afterlife as the cutest little ghost you've ever seen. And really, you kind of want to make it back to Earth to solve your murder. So this section is actually just the tutorial section. So I'm jumping on a bunch of blocks. It's showing me different controls that I'm going to need throughout the game. And of course, for the immersion, for the lore, it gives me a bunch of prompts being like, Earth is that way. Are you sure you want to go back? You can just live in peace forever in the afterlife. You don't have to go back. But somebody murdered me. Somebody murdered me. I've got to figure out who did it. I love that I can move the clouds. I can move the clouds as a ghost. That is awesome. I finish the tutorial, I go back to Earth, and I just pop out of my grave. And it's kind of sad because if you read the gravestone, I think it says something like 1993 to 2020. So we were so young. I was so upset. We have this ghost companion. He's kind of our guide in the game. Tells us extra controls and tells us the background. So right now, we didn't actually know that we were murdered. I'm sorry, kind of spoiled that a little bit. But he tells us, hey, you were murdered, and the reason you were able to get back here is because you have unfinished business. You need to solve your murder. Why other people can't just do that for me, I don't know. But he also tells me that I need to find my grieving sister, Emmy. Apparently, she's around. Super sad, obviously, like any emotional human being would be. So I go to find her, but I find this shovel. And, you know, I thought it'd be cute if I could dig up the graves and release more ghosts into the world, but I guess I can't. So I just ditch the shovel and I see this wall. I thought I just shift through the wall because I can shift through thin walls and gates. That's what it said at the beginning of the game. But I realized I actually have to move it. I moved it a little bit and I said good enough. So I just left a few bits there. I could get through, so it didn't really matter. I found a rock. I thought the rock would be helpful. It wasn't helpful, so I left the rock there. But then I found a rat, and the rat was getting highlighted. So in my head, I'm like, of course this rat has to be useful. But I don't see any way for the rat to be useful. So I'm a little confused here. I decided to give up on the rat after a while and just run around. I'm trying to get through this gate. And then this guy shows up. I'm so lost, and then this guy just pops out of nowhere and he tells me what I was wondering. He tells me, yes, I can possess both animals and humans. I thought that was pretty cool. So of course that tells me that I've got to possess the rat, and he told me that I can actually climb vines with the rat. And I see vines. Obviously it's right, I gotta go. And then I press the wrong button. I leave the rat instead of climbing the vines, but I get it the second time, and I land on the roof. I wasn't trying to land on the roof, but I did, and I thought it would be really funny if I could do some parkour, but the maker of this game kinda broken-proofed it, so I wasn't able to jump anywhere. I ended up just leaving the rat. I felt kind of bad, but I come back later and the rat's not there, so he makes it off, and he's okay. It's alright. Then I saw that there were people blocking the entrance of the cemetery. In my head, I could just go up to them and spook them. But when I talk to the guy, he's like, you have a couple of choices. You can float an object in front of them, which is what I actually ended up doing, as you can see. And then they get so scared. Understandably so, but it's still funny. But he also said I could possess them. And I was debating possessing them right there, but I realized I could just shift through the gate like that, so I didn't. And I see this crying girl outside, and obviously using context clues, I figure out it's my sister. I think at this point in the stream, I was shocked that it was my sister. I shouldn't have been. The guy told me that I needed to find my grieving sister, Emmy. And I talked to this girl. Her name is Emmy, and she's crying. Of course, it's my sister. So I tell her, hey, I got heckin' murdered. I need your help because why would anybody murder me? I need to figure it out and give them a piece of my mind. Not actually, I just want to solve it. But my sister is hesitant at first. She's like, but I get this time with you and I don't want to waste any time with you. And if we solve your murder, you're going to go away. And yeah, she's not wrong, but what? She ends up agreeing to help me, though. And I first get into town, and I just want to hop all over everything. If you couldn't tell by now, I was that person playing Skyrim that just ran straight over the hill and didn't use any of the paths. In my head, I was always telling myself, oh, it's going to be faster this way. It never was. It never was. But I know I need to collect evidence, so I did possess this cop, and then I talked to the other cop, and the cop didn't have any information. How are you a cop actively investigating a case and you don't have any active information for me? I decide I'll just play the role of the cop. There's citizens around. Somebody who has got to have seen something. The first person I talked to, useless. Second person I talked to was Emmy. She's grieving. She doesn't have the capacity to talk to anybody, let alone a police officer. So that was a total bust. I decided to go back to the crime scene. It didn't work out. So I go into this alleyway. I very briefly looked at this alleyway, and it's surprisingly important, but you'll see that later. I try to get this box out I think is going to be useful for some reason, and then I scare this cop half to death. And then, look what I do. Look, watch right here. What was that for? What was the reason? I'm sitting here literally thinking I killed this cop. I'm thinking I'm going to get a ghost buddy. She just resets. She's fine. She's not hurt at all. Which is good, because that's not what I was trying to do. But I find a bird. And of course, using my little pea brain that's in my skull somewhere, the guy at the beginning told me that I can possess animals. That's obviously not going to be used for just one part. And pardon me, I thought I'd be able to fly with the bird. Turns out I can only glide with the bird. That's my bad. But he's got to be useful for something, somewhere. And I find these vents all over the place. And these vents, they push you up. The first one was a dud, but this one brought me to a rooftop that I keep sliding off of, but it brought me to a rooftop. I don't know why. I am so determined to try and get up here. It does not seem very useless. And look what happened. Sorry, it didn't seem very useful, and look what happened. I got stuck. I look for a reset button. There's not a reset button. I literally trapped a bird up here. Spoiler alert, I never get that bird back, so I just abort the mission with that bird. I find another bird very conveniently very close. And also, for context, I'm trying to get to the roof of that yellow building right across the street. I immediately mess that up. I drop the bird onto the porch or something, the wraparound. I don't know what it's called. I drop the bird, so I can't use the bird anymore. And I hop off the roof. I give up. I'm thinking, okay, if I just walk away from the bird, it'll probably reset. And I remember seeing some vines, so I'm in this corner with the rat, looking for the vines that I saw. Spoiler alert, again, not in that corner. I just gave up because I couldn't use my eyes for 2 seconds, and I tried stacking boxes to get onto that yellow roof that was over there. Did you notice that? I just brought a box over there. I'm bringing another box over there, and the previous box is gone. It reset, and you see it happen again. So I immediately give up on that. Clearly, it's not working, and I didn't want to hurt my brain over it. I don't know why. When playing this game, I was so stressed. I don't know what happened. I possessed a person to try and talk to other people, and if you didn't notice, that was not working. He did not want to talk to me. So I go back to the rat because I actually noticed the vines right here, so I can climb up. I'm thinking, okay, the boxes reset. So obviously the bird reset too. No, that's not what happened at all. That is not what happens ever, actually. The first bird that I got stuck in a weird box, I never get that bird out of that box. Ever. So I'm thinking maybe this bird can just jump back up to the roof. But that bird has the shortest legs I have ever seen in my life. So I tried making a stairway with the boxes, and it was surprisingly difficult. But I gave up, and this is as best as I got. And I try to get up there. I stretch those tiny little legs that don't really do much. And I was confident I was going to fail, but I just kept trying. I don't know why. And to be honest, I tried for a little longer than I should have. And in my head, I'm back to square one, okay? Again, like I said, I was so stressed. So stressed. And I don't even know why I was so stressed playing this game. Looking back now, it was very straightforward and simple and cozy. I didn't need to be so stressed. But I'm trying not to be stressed. So I take a step back. I look around. So I just take the bird. I try to get over the roof. I barely miss. I just need to get where that cop is on top. So I just leave the bird alone. And actually, the bird did reset. So I just had to take the bird far enough away from its original location for it to reset. Unfortunately, that first bird never going to get far enough away from its original location to reset. And after trying to get to the roof with the other bird, I'm thinking to myself, there's got to be another answer. Because I tried it, it didn't work. I don't think at this point in time that if I try it again, it's going to work. But I saw a different porch over here with a bunch of boxes on it, and I could get to it with the bird. Obviously, this means something. I feel like I'm saying obviously way too much. If I can get to the porch, there's something up on that porch. There's some reason I need to be there. It takes me way too long to figure it out. Do you see this? This is 20 minutes of me doing the dumbest stuff in my life, failing, having to get the bird again, and going back up to the porch to try and get where I want to go. Eventually, I get with the bird, and I get to the roof. It was weird finessing. I went on that same roof that I got the first bird trapped on, but instead of getting the bird trapped on the weird mini porch, I just jumped off the roof and I made it. And at this point, possessing a human has done no good for me. So I decide to take the cop around, and I find this little weasel in the air vent. I misclick so many times. But eventually I do talk to the weasel, and you know what he says to me? What are you, a cop? Buzz off. How did he know? I don't know. But obviously I can talk to him with a person, just not the cop. So I grab this grandpa and I walk over there, and guess what? He knows I'm not a cop. You want to know how he knows? He sniffs me. And he figures out I'm not a cop that way. What is a cop supposed to smell like? Pork. So he figures out that I'm not a cop, and he decides to talk to me. I ask him a bunch of questions, la-di-da. I ask him who he is, if he recognizes this piece of fabric, the first piece of evidence that we found on the roof. I ask him if he knows about it, and it belongs to him. But after investigating him and asking him a couple questions, it just ripped off his cape, and he doesn't actually have anything to do with the crime. So that was a bummer, a bust, if you will. Turns out, he actually had nothing to do with the crime. I'm back to square one. I need to find more evidence. I've only found one piece of evidence, and if you saw in my book, I think there's either 4 or 5 pieces of evidence. I'm back up with the bird. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm back up with the bird. A bird's eye view, if you will. Looking around and trying to think, where am I supposed to go? And I see that porch. That porch. I'm back on the balconies trying to get to the top of the roof again. Earlier, I took 20 minutes doing the dumbest stuff. You see how long that took me? That took me 5 seconds, if even, to just pick up a box, and then look how easy that was. I get straight up on the roof. I actually, when I first get up here, I think it's a total bust because I don't see anything highlighted, so I'm lost. But then it just pops up a clue. Thank you. Where did this come from? I didn't see it at all. I really thought that I spent all this time getting onto the top of the roof just to find no piece of evidence. But I got a piece of evidence. Now I'm thinking with my very small noggin, I've got to be going to another place on the roof. Look what I'm doing here. I end up on the side of a building. This game is straightforward. I did not need to be on the side of a building, but I had myself convinced, yes, I need to be on the side of the building. Of course, there's going to be a piece of evidence on a place that's not even possible for me to get to. Obviously, that's how they would design a game. What was I thinking? Genuinely, what was I thinking? So yet again, I go back to square one. I decide to retrace my steps from the very beginning. I've had to have missed something. At this point in the game, all of the places where evidence is are very, very easy to get to. And I'm thinking, if I'm having trouble finding a piece of evidence, it's got to be in the most basic spot that I literally walk past. So you know what I do? I go back to the alleyway. Pop in the alleyway. Look what I see. A piece of evidence right there that I just passed by. I passed by it earlier, which can you really blame me? It's kind of in a nook. It was very easy to miss in my defense. But at this point, I've been everywhere in the city. The last pieces of evidence have got to be in the cemetery, which I didn't even think about. I darted out of here earlier. I was out of the cemetery in 2 or 3 minutes, something like that. It was very fast. In my head, there was no evidence in the cemetery. Why would there ever be evidence in the cemetery? At first, I will admit, I'm a little lost. I am being very thorough, to be fair. But I realize eventually, I don't know when, but eventually I realize that there's no evidence here. No evidence in this part of the grave. At this point, I stopped beating myself up for not looking for evidence earlier. That hat was not there earlier. 100% replay the video. It was not there earlier. But I find another piece of evidence. I also find this guy sleeping, and I want to wake him up as a joke, you know, like a ghost shaking you out of your bed. But after a while, I try a lot. I'll give myself credit. I try a lot. But I eventually realize it's not possible and just move on. Because there's another piece of evidence. And then I find this building with a gate that I can go through. It takes me so long to get through this gate. And look what's in here. It's just a piece of paper that says BRB. I spent... Okay, granted, I didn't actually spend that long. It was probably a minute and a half at most getting in there. And then I see this door right next to the building. You see how big that door is cracked open? I couldn't fit in there, but a rat can. I played with Rat on the statue for a minute. It was really fun. The rats are so cute. Look, I don't know if this is a hot take. If you don't like rats, I don't like you. Rats are adorable and very necessary. But I take the rat. Who can fit through this door? A rat. The rat's skinty enough. I'm not, apparently. But I find this secret little hideaway. And initially, when I came in here, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I've got to put the rat in the pit with the other rat, and I've got to put myself through here. I get to the end of it, and I can't fit through there. So I've got to do it again with the rat. I make it through with the rat, and look what I find. The last piece of evidence. A cake. A trash cake, to be specific. But a cake. So when I find that, nothing immediately happens. So in my head, I'm like, do I gotta put the clues together or something? Do I have to have a Genshin moment and interpret each of these? Eventually, I do think to myself, I have all the pieces of evidence. And you know who is helping me solve this case? My sister, Emmy. So I probably have to take these pieces of evidence to my sister, Emmy. So I grab a rat, I hop out of there, and I go to Emmy. She's shocked. Shocked to see me, I tell you. But of course, she's my sister. She's helping me solve the case of my murder. So I present to her all of the evidence. And long story short, very long story short, we talked for so long. I'm not kidding. So long. My sister murdered me. My sister murdered me. She just moved to this town, and I guess we're working in a flower shop or something, and she wanted me to get a gift, and she got me a very, very large potted plant as a gift that she decided to put on a very, very high shelf in the flower shop. And I think she was on a ladder getting it down for me, and that flower pot fell on my head and killed me. How the cops haven't figured this out yet, I have no clue. And for some reason, the cops gather everybody in the town, in the center of the town, to discuss their progress on the murder. And props to my sister, she confesses on the spot. So props to her. Then, after she confesses, I find out that they have a protocol in this city where the victim of a crime gets to determine the punishment for the perpetrator. Usually there's an exception for murder because the victim's typically not there anymore. I say typically. The victim's not there anymore. But they can all see me as a ghost now. I forgot to mention that. I revealed myself to the whole townspeople. So the cops are like, do you want to determine the punishment for the crime? Me, personally, you know what I would have said? I would have been like 600 hours of community service. Ghosty Boy, on the other hand, is better than me. She lets a sister go. No consequences at all. Just free to go. Which I guess is a very, very nice thing to do. I'm bitter and I hold grudges. I'll admit, alright? But then, at the end of the day, we solved the murder. I know it was my own sister who murdered me. The townspeople know it was my own sister who murdered me. She had admitted her actions. So that means my unsolved business is now solved. I must return to Ghosty Boy world. And it gives me literal pearly gates to do so. Love that. Honestly, a very short and sweet story that I just love. I cannot express to you guys enough how stressed I was playing this game. I don't know what it was. I think I might have been having a bad day. But I was so stressed. I was panicking. I was running around the city like, where's the evidence? I have no idea. But it all turned out fine. And this game, in and of itself, it's not stressful. Okay? It was a me problem. I'll admit. I was stressed. Not sure why, but I was. But it's a very, very cute game. Again, the game is called Whodunit. And you're seeing the credits roll all over the screen. It's on Steam. It's probably on other platforms, but I got it off of Steam. But enough of that. Cute game. Fun Game Friday, as it should be. By the time you're seeing this video, uploaded on YouTube, we have another Fun Game Friday next Friday. So March 7th. March 7th is the next Fun Game Friday. If you want to stay up to date on all the Fun Game Friday stuff, you can join the Discord. You can follow me on Twitch. I send out updates on both of those platforms about it. I'll wrap up the yapping. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to the creators of Whodunit. It's a very cute game. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Maybe send it to a friend who could use a little pick-me-up. Please come hang out on Twitch. I would love to see you guys over there. But above all else, please have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!